I was lucky enough to go to a press conference before I saw my very own British invasion at the Paper Mill Playhouse, and I got to talk to many people. And there are musical inserts that are going to be in between all the interviews.
Thank you so much for being here. About a year and a half ago, I was invited to a workshop presentation of this piece and was so excited about it, about the energy, about the story, about the music, that before I left the studio, I went over to my friend Hal Luftig and I said, you know, how can we, myself and Paper Mill, get on this ride with you? And so I'm incredibly grateful to have this partnership with our friends, Hal Luftig here in the back, Sherry Wright, Craig Hafner, Rodney Rigby, who's not here, and Yashu Kawana, who are helping us bring this project to life. And we are all beholden and grateful to the man whose life inspired this story, who's here with us today, Peter Noone.
The American Revolution. That's what you call it on your side of the pond. But up in Manchester, England, where I come from, in our school books, we call it the skirmish. I guess history belongs to the winners. That's what my mama would say. So we waited a while for round 2 of this particular slugfest. Patience is what it means to be British. And in 1964, we made our move. Not with soldiers and muskets. This time, we did it with music. For your love.
Our Associate Director and Choreographer, Kenkel.
We're so excited to have you here. This is normally a spot where Jerry Mitchell would be speaking. However, he is in Michigan this week getting some much-needed private time with his family. And he sends his wishes and he sends his love. But he would say, we are so excited here to do this for you because we've been working really hard and we want to share some of what we've been working so hard on. We've completely outgrown this room and we are so ready to go to Paper Mill. We just can't wait.
So ready, Geno.
Yes. We are so ready. I mean, we want to thank the producers for this amazing space. It has been a wonderful 4 weeks, but we are really ready to go to Paper Mill and get this to the intended audience that we are waiting for. Before we go further, I would like to introduce you to a couple members of our love triangle. First, Conor Ryan. Bad boy rocker named Trip, and Erika Olson. Pamela, our resident pop star lovebird, and our hero, Jonny. In the role of Peter. So I'm sure you would all agree, if you walk in the bag of nails, and if you walk through these doors right here today for this presentation, it's because you love music, and you love a good love story. And
Songs about girls written by boys in love. That's how we conquered America. With love stories. But this one, my story, takes place on a side road in King Street called Bag and Nails. Only one problem. I was too young to get in the blinking door. A 1, 2, 3, 4.
In the bag of nails, and if you walk through these doors right here today for this presentation, it's because you love music and you love a good love story. And in this world, you also love to cheer for said love story and said music. So have a blast, and I want to introduce you now to our amazing book writer, Rick.
I'm just going to do what writers always do. This is the greatest geometry for storytelling. It's a triangle, right? It's the love triangle. The reason the love triangle works so well is because it's 2 forces pulling against a central force. Just so you understand, because what we're going to show you is a little bit out of sequence and to sort of set the stage, but you can only imagine what happens with these 3 artistes that the love triangle just set the stage for you. There's this club. It's still there in London, Soho, just around the corner from Carnaby Street. It's called Bag and Ales. And this, in the 60s, was the place where everybody who was an up-and-coming, they used to call them the bright young things. You know, they were the music stars on the horizon. And they would all hang out, sort of like the bar centrale of Soho, London. Except, in addition to it being overpriced food and drink, there's a bandstand, a house band, and Geno Washington, who is an expat American who never went home after World War II, who set up a singing and recording career here in London. And every night, he and the house band were at the Bag and Ales, and over there would be Freddie Mercury, not famous yet. Over there would be Mick Jagger, not famous yet. Over there would be Keith Richards. They were just working on setting up a group. Over here would be John Lennon and Paul McCartney and George Harrison and Ringo Starr, all hanging out together with each other. Petula Clark, Lulu, Dusty Springfield, remember these names? Everybody was there. They're all sort of teenagers. They're all really basically trying to get laid, and to audition for each other. Hey, I had a great idea for a song. Get up on the bandstand, sing the song for your friends who also are rockers. And eventually, you would start looking for a manager. We have one, Fallon, who is our stand-in for Andrew Luke Oldman and Alan Klein, an American music manager who represented a lot of these artists in the day after they became famous. But this extraordinary thing happened in February 1964, which is that the Beatles were sent over by their manager, Brian Epstein, to perform on a show called The Ed Sullivan Show. And it changed everything, because in one night, essentially, and then the following Sunday, and then the following Sunday, all of America, 100 million people actually watched the Beatles perform, and the next day ran to buy records. This never happened in the UK. There was not that much money to be made in the UK. 100 million people lining up for records the next day. That was really, really big, so everybody went, ooh, I want to be next, I want to be next, I want to be next. That's the environment of Bag and Ales, and that's the environment where we open the show. So we're going to give you like the opening of the show just to sort of explain now brilliantly what I've just set up for you rather badly. After that sequence, our story really begins, and that's where we meet Peter and Trip and Pamela, the woman they're both in love with. They're, of course, the two guys are at loggerheads, and they all three want to be stars. So Trip is a bit jealous that Pamela is interested in someone else and arranges to send her to America to tour, even though she's a kid. And she aspires to be a folk singer, and she is quite good, but she's also very lonely. And she's a kid in America, the giant candy store, and so she gets involved with drugs. And she calls Peter and says she's got a problem. And Peter goes after her to bring her home. And he finds her in America. And so we're going to show you a little bit from Act 2, where he has recovered her and wants to help her get clean, and is going to bring her home to the UK to help her do it. And he puts her on an ocean liner, and they head back over to Southampton, and then they're going to skedaddle right up to Manchester, England. And here's a scene that takes place on the ship. The cast and Geno will set the scene for you. Are we ready? Almost. Yeah? Okay.
Hey, there's something broken in here that makes me feel like I need, I don't know, a little something extra to be happy.
And that's what I'll be.
What do you mean?
I'll give up the touring and devote
final installment is the end of Act 1. The end of Act 1, if you're a writer like me, is pretty easy because you sit down and you type the lyrics to the song and you intersperse it with the various story threads that seem to be independent, and you weave them together to create a sense of suspense, and then you write end of Act 1. And if you're really, really lucky, you get to hand that on paper to a great theater artist who brings it to life. And we've been really, really lucky on this show because we have Jerry Mitchell as director choreographer. And so this will give you an idea of why everybody knows who Jerry Mitchell is, and why Jerry Mitchell is a star. And he would be here if he could, but he can't. So I apologize for speaking for him, but it's nice to be able to represent him, especially in this case. So here's what's happening. What you just saw was in Act 2. Peter goes to America and brings Pamela back. But before he has the idea, he needs to be told that that's the right thing to do. And you will see him being told by his mom, who is played by Jen Perry. And you will also see then the other disparate part, the other side of the triangle, which is Tripp, who you've already met, and Fallon, his manager, here, and the Hammer, which is who is his bodyguard. You don't want to mess with Hammer. And they will, at the same time as Peter's deciding to go to America, they are hatching a plan also to send Tripp to America. So we know in the audience that all hell's going to break loose because they're going to, obviously, in Act 2, show up in the same place. But we're not going to show you that. Instead, we're going to show you the end of the act when all of this is set up, the big, big idea heading from Great Britain, where the entire first act takes place, to America. And at the end of the number, the Union Jack will go away and the American flag will fall down. And so we'll get that idea. You won't see any of that, but you will see this. Please set the stage. Yeah.
She was fighting for your Pam.
Yeah, she is.
Unachievable, unattainable, ridiculously beautiful, geographically inconvenient.
All of that.
We got beaten on and obsessed with it, didn't we?
She's all I think about. She's replaced thinking.
You want to win. You have to know what you're fighting for. What you fighting for, son? Don't you see, Peter? Your invasion's a love story.
I just wish it was worth it.
Oh, I give you such a clump. Oh, it's always worth it.
But what am I supposed to do?
You fight.
Here we are with,
Hoyt. Sure.
and you are the,
Music director for my very own British Invasion.
so what sort of problems does that, because it's not like a normal musical show, you have actual pop tunes that you have to adjust into a musical theater situation, so what do you do to do that?
Well, not problems, but challenges of taking pop songs, theatricalizing them without going against their true pop roots. So you want to keep them true to where they came from, but they still have to tell a story. They have to fit into the character. They have to fit into the plot. So we try to massage a little bit of it musically and structurally, so both sides are satisfied. It tells a story, and you can still dance to it.
Yeah, because there's going to be a lot, with Jerry Mitchell at the helm, you know there's going to be a lot of choreography.
Oh, yes, very much so. I've worked with Jerry for a couple of shows now, and if they're not moving, it's not Jerry. So.
And also this is like for like a band, like a guitar, a bass, a drum, and here you probably add strings and sax and all sorts of different instruments, don't you?
We try to. With this particular one, we have our strings and saxes are going to be the cast. They're playing acoustic guitar, they're playing percussion instruments, they're playing glockenspiel, they're playing thumb piano.
Wow.
So everybody works to make the music come alive.
Glockenspiel, you don't say that. Which song gets the glockenspiel?
You have to come see the show, you'll see it.
Now you have something to be suspenseful even more over.
Exactly.
So how did you get involved in this in the first place?
Jerry asked me. I'd been working on him with a couple of Hairspray productions, and he just turned to me one day and said, "I'm doing this project about British invasion. Do you know anything about the music?" I said, yeah, very much so, having grown up with the Beatles and the Stones and Herman's Hermits. So he just said, "Please join me," and here I am.
That's another thing. It's so iconic to us. So we're used to hearing it a certain way, and this way we're going to hear it in a lusher way, aren't we?
Exactly. We're going to take the classics people know, still familiar to them, and put a different spin on them. They'll sound like they're just written the day before. That's how fresh they're going to be.
Oh, I'm really excited about this show because, of course, it's all of our childhood.
It really is. It's funny. The cast is young, and most of them say, "Oh, my parents played this music. We really enjoyed listening." So now they're redoing the music their parents grew up with.
I mean, it's iconic. It's just, I mean, everybody knows this. A lot of people don't know a lot of pop culture stuff, but the British songs, everyone does.
They last. They're good songs. They made such an impact when they arrived. Even silly songs, people go, "I remember singing along to that song," and they remember where they were and how old they were, or when they taught their kids how to do Henry VIII, or There's a Kind of Hush. So it's a lot of memories with this music.
And yes, we get Ed Sullivan.
Of course we get. Ed Sullivan started it. He put the Beatles on, and everybody went crazy.
I know, and he was such a unbelievable person to bring it across too.
Yeah, he's
the right word, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, he was not. You wouldn't look at him and say, "Oh, he's going to introduce Elvis to the world. He's going to bring the Stones and the Beatles to his show," but he did.
More power to him, and you too, and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, right here, Margie. The Beatles are so hot, they'll give Elvis Presley a suntan.
I think it'd be bigger than Elvis, bigger than anybody.
Who are you there, mother?
In a manner of speaking.
It's your lucky day, Bryan. I'll pay top dollar to get your boys on my really big shoe.
Here's the deal. You pay my boys bottom dollar, not top. But you put them on over and over, Sunday after Sunday, until every teenager in America sounds like this.
Look! Happy! It's the Beatles! Oh my God, the Beatles have their clothes on!
We are with.
Hi, I'm John Sanders, and I play Fallon in my very own British Invasion.
Oh, you play all the different managers.
Yes, I play a character who's like an amalgamation of a bunch of really famous managers from that era, yeah.
We know Brian Epstein. Who else was there?
Yeah, well, there was Andrew Lou Goldham, who is a man who was the manager of the Rolling Stones, and there's also Alan Klein, who was another famous manager from that time. And Fallon is sort of an amalgamation of those guys and a fictionalized account also, yeah.
So tell me the personality traits of this manager.
Well, he loves spinning plates. He loves spinning words. He wants to make a buck. He's kind of one of the forces that works on our famous lovers and pulls them in different directions and brings them together and tears them apart. And, you know, he's there to manage these really difficult personalities. These kids who are basically teenagers and world famous. And that's what happened to these kids back in the 60s. And this guy's the grown-up who's trying to make a buck off of them.
So you like this Svengali.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm pulling the strings. I'm the puppeteer a little bit. Yeah.
You're not just managing their songs, you're managing their lives too, to suit your evil purposes.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know how evil the purposes are, but man, market forces. And yeah, that's right. He's managing their lives as well as their careers. Yeah.
You're the capitalist.
Yeah, that's totally true.
They're anti-establishment, and you're the establishment that makes it possible for them to be anti-establishment.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I'm walking the line. I am the embodiment of the hypocrisy of the music business. Yeah.
Oh, so how did you get involved in this in the first place?
Well, you know, I was one of the few people who did the first reading, I believe, of this maybe back in 2014. And so I've been in every workshop of it since, and Rick Ellis and I, the playwright, have worked together on a number of different things over the years, including Peter and the Starcatcher, and I was lucky enough to be asked to come in and read the role, and I had so much fun doing it, and here we are.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you're like me, you just love the music so much. It's kind of hard to think that you've never heard this before as your character, and yet you have as a real person.
It's so true because it's in the zeitgeist for all of us. It hits our ear and there's immediate recognition. But, you know, my entire family is so excited about this show because everybody loves this music. And I can't wait also for my young niece to come and see the show. I think it's going to really introduce this music to a whole new generation of people. And so they can, you know, find out how exciting this music is.
See how cool we are.
You know, us old people are cool too.
Exactly.
Totally.
Thank you very much, and congratulations. I can't wait to see them.
Thank you.
Taylor Parker.
And your part in all this British invasion is?
I play Geno. He acts as the narrator, and he's inspired by Geno Washington, a soul singer in the 60s.
Oh, tell me more. I don't know anything about this Geno Washington.
So Geno Washington was an African-American soul singer who moved to London and stayed there and made a name for himself in the Bag of Nails Club.
Oh, so these are all real people.
Yeah, some of them are real people and others are inspired by real people.
So we get to learn about people that we're not aware of because, I mean, the British people kind of overtook, and so, I mean, maybe other people, I'm surprised there's someone I don't know.
I was as well. I'm a big music buff, and I'd never heard of Geno Washington until now. The great thing is, you know, African-American performers were moving to Europe to kind of build a life for themselves that they couldn't have in the States. And I think that's a special little sweet spot in our story, how powerful music is.
Yeah, I remember, like, the same thing happened with in Paris back in the 40s.
Absolutely. All of that, yes.
So how did you get involved in this wonderful project?
I mean, I was really lucky. I've worked with Jerry before. I auditioned. He told me that this is a new piece he was working on, and I just said, I love this music. I'd be honored to be a part of it.
And have you ever been at the Paper Mill before? I love the Paper Mill.
I love the Paper Mill. I've seen many shows there. I've never performed at the Paper Mill, so it's a treat.
And rehearsing in a church, how odd is that?
Absolutely. It's a special place because the Rockettes rehearse here. I was in Jesus Christ Superstar Live for NBC, and we rehearsed here as well. So to be back, it's like a reunion of sorts. And I graduated upstairs, actually. I went to AMDA, and our college graduation was upstairs.
Wow. So the show has meaning for you. The rehearsal space has meaning for you. So this is like fate.
Absolutely. I agree.
So tell me about Jesus Christ Live. What's it like doing a live TV Broadway show?
It's exhilarating, but, you know, it really feels like doing a Broadway show. The only difference is cameras there. You know, the audience was incredible, spectacular. The kind of magic that I think we hope to create here with it being a rock and roll show.
Yeah, but not just any rock and roll show. This is a memory rock and roll.
Absolutely, yeah. It's inspired by the life of Peter Noone, who we got to meet today, and that just blew my mind. Incredible.
I know. I saw you too.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations and good luck.
Thank you so much.
Writing her every day, practically. Letters, beautiful letters. And let me guess, she ignored it completely. It's your way to get me hooked. Bring her home, Fallon. I need my sunshine. Wait, what about a nice US tour for little old you? The bad girl and the bad boy reunited, going caca. Is that bad? Canoodle and array, coast to coast in America. Gives it all kind of evil glamour. Never had sales, you know. A tour? Why not? Proper hedonistic meals and don't spare the horses. In a face that launched 1,000 ships. Pamela, pack your bags, Trip. We're going to America.
Oh, I'm Daniel Stewart Sherman. Hi. How are
you? You are playing the part of
Hammer. The Hammer. Just the Hammer.
And who is the Hammer?
The Hammer is a fixer for a cleaner for Trip.
A cleaner? That sounds ominous. What's the cleaner do?
So if Trip has a problem, the Hammer will come in and fix that problem. He'll take care of things that need to be taken care of that Trip doesn't have to deal with anymore.
And how did Trip come to realize he needed a cleaner to begin with?
Well, you know, when you're a big star like Trip is, and Trip is a huge star, up-and-coming star, certain problems will arise, and Trip needs to worry about being a star. He doesn't need to worry about fixing problems. So he has the Hammer come in and take care of the problems so he can continue being a big star.
Oh, I didn't realize he's a big star. The other people are trying to establish himself, but he's already established.
He's on the rise, let's put it that way. So as his star is rising, he can't be dealing with things behind him that are going to get in his way. So he's going to continue rising up the ladder to stardom, and the Hammer will be right behind him, making sure that nobody stops that climb.
So behind every great star is a cleaner.
Sure.
You get to sing any of the songs, or you're too busy cleaning up the action?
I've got some singing to do. There's a song called "Baby, Baby, Can't You Hear My Heartbeat."
Oh, I love that song.
It's a great song, and it's put in a completely different context in our story, which is so wonderful and funny and adorable, and you can't go wrong with it. The music's undeniable.
Oh, God, we all love the music, let's face it.
The music's great. The music is just great.
It must be hard to be, like, stern and serious when all this wonderful music, and you just want to tap your toe.
You do, that's right. But you know what you have to do is you have to be stern and serious, and at the same time, tap your toes.
Keep your head from moving.
That's right, which I'm not very good at, but I'm getting better.
Well, congratulations. It looks like a fabulous show.
It is. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait for people to see it.
Bryan Fenkart. I played John Lennon in the show.
Oh,
yes, yes indeed. Yeah, it's a blast to play such a hero, you know?
Oh, that must be really cool. Have you got that leg? I love when you see them on the outside, the way they bop up and down.
Up, and you gotta get the head, the woo, when they do the woo, you gotta get the head thing to the side. Unfortunately, I don't have a good shag cut, so it doesn't move like theirs did, but you know, I make do.
And that wonderful bow-legged stance they have, I love.
Always fun. And he wore his guitar really high, I always noticed, which is such a strange way to hold it, for me anyway. I don't know. He played it great.
Well, that's true, because you have to study all of his quirks and everything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, luckily, with the conceit of this show, is that we're sort of club goers who are then doing a reenactment of something that happened in the 60s, so at least I'm off the hook of doing exact mimicry, you know, but it still has to be pretty close.
It's hard to subjugate yourself to a real person.
Exactly. Luckily, not a living person, you know. in that case, it's even harder because then you feel like there's, like, you know, judgment on you. Although maybe he's up there watching and judging me silently.
Well, unfortunately, the people who know John Lennon, they're going to be judging you. I'm sadly to say, I'm sorry.
Well, you know, I'm in the wrong career if I don't want to be judged by people, I guess.
So you're saying you're capturing the essence of John Lennon and bugger off.
We'll call it that. We'll say that. We'll call it the essence. Yes, the spirit.
So what made them think, they looked at you and said, essence of John Lennon with a...
You know, I can't answer that for sure, but what I can say, I did one other show where I had to play a Beatle or against somebody else who was acting like a Beatle, and so I kind of already had some background on the Liverpudlian accent, which is a little bit hard to get down, so I think they sort of saw me as a ringer, brought me in for the readings, and thought, oh, this guy can do it. So, you know, I don't think it was anything about the way I look or anything. I think it was more the fact that I could do a difficult accent without having the training to, you know, without needing training from them, you know.
But you're not a ringer, you're a John Lennon.
That's right. Ba-dum boom. Thank you. You did your own rim shot. I appreciate that. I didn't have to do it. Thanks.
Well, that's because you play guitar and I'm doing the drum beat.
That's right. Yes.
So tell me, what are you feeling when you're in the midst of all this show?
I mean, it's such a manic, you know, frenzy of great energy, and you know, the music at that time had such a forward motion to it. It really was designed to get people to move, you know, and just sort of let go of their inhibitions. So like that's contagious, and I think everyone on stage feels that. Everyone in the audience feels that because you know, there was just something about the music that was freeing at that time, and I don't know if it was just the atmosphere, that, you know, the political climate or whatever, but everyone needed this music to let go. So we're all feeling that. So yeah, it's such a blast to be doing these songs with such a fun group of people.
And you just made me realize, I mean, there were specific dance moves. We had the swimmer and the monkey and the pony and all these different dances. It wasn't just, you know, it was very specific.
It was, yeah. And I don't even know who came up with those. It was just something that started flowing through the club. Sure, somebody has done the research, not me. but you know, those all, started in these clubs and, you know, just started on these dance floors with all these drunken teenagers, you know, just needing to escape.
Oh, things haven't changed much, have they?
Sure haven't. Sure haven't.
Well, congratulations. Looks like a fabulous...
Yeah, we're having a blast. I hope the audience will, too. I imagine they will.
Oh, we will.
Yeah.
There's a kind push all over the world tonight. All over the world, you can hear the sound of lovers in love. You know what I mean? Just the two of us and nobody else in sight. There's nobody else, and I'm feeling good, just holding you tight. So listen very carefully, closer now, and you will see what I mean.
The Herman.
Good for you.
How'd you come up with that name?
It was from the Bullwinkle show. There was Sherman and Professor Peabody, and I had these glasses on, and they said, you look like Sherman from Professor Peabody, Sherman and Professor Peabody. And I said, okay, let's call the band, and the guy said, no, call it Herman, because Herman's a more easier name, and somebody there said, and Herman and the Hermits, they look like hermits, and that was the name of the band.
Wow.
All in one little English pub that happened.
The best things happen in a pub, don't they?
I think so, yeah.
Is that where you met the love interest, that's Pamela?
Not in the pub. In the Bag of Nails was where everyone would meet. That was the hangout for everybody. It would be
Like a pub, or what or was it just a music club, or what exactly was the Bag of Nails?
It's actually a private club. With a discotheque, I think it would be called now. It was a private club, so the members were the heir to the Guinness fortune, and a couple of the Beatles, and me, and you know, Jimi Hendrix. Eventually, I met my wife there 50 years ago, and we both went the same night to see Jimi Hendrix. That was it was a place where people would get up on the stage and play.
So if it's a private club, how were you able to gain admission then?
That's in the story. John Lennon gets me in because I'm underage. I'm not old enough to go in the club or drink, but he gets me in and he buys me a drink.
So you all guys knew each other at the time?
England is a very small place. England is a very small place, like the size of New Jersey. So we all would run into each other multiple times in a year, all of us. You'd see the Stones on a Sunday, and see the Beatles on Friday, and we all knew each other. We all just basically, we weren't necessarily fans of each other's music, but we all liked each other, and we were not competitive, because we weren't like the Beatles, and the Beatles weren't like the Stones, and nobody was like each other, so we weren't. Yeah, but if you're not, all the people from the British invasion are unique.
Yet you all made wonderful music. Your music was just phenomenal.
Yeah, but it wasn't the same kind of music. We didn't do the same music.
No, but it was all. But even the different aspects was just all enjoyable. There wasn't a bad lot amongst them.
Well, all the ones that were bad, you never heard at all. They never got on the radio. I think the radio made all the songs that we hear now hits, and that was what we made songs for the radio when people liked romantic songs in those days.
So you think the British invasion was payback for the American Revolution of 1776?
No, I think the Battle of New Orleans was not a hit in England, and we don't have Independence Day. July the 4th, we don't celebrate in England, and
we have Guy Fawkes Day, which is much better.
We basically forget. We've forgotten about America, and we thought that America was the home of music. We thought of America as being rock and roll home, and Broadway, and musicals, and movies was all America. So we were destined to come here if we wanted to be in the music business, really.
But isn't it interesting that you were influenced by America, but then you came over and influenced America with their own music, with your own take on it. So that's really cool.
I think one thing that Rick Elice captured in this musical is enthusiasm. we were all enthusiasts. That's the difference, you know. There were no cool people. If you see the Beatles go on stage in Shea Stadium, they run from that dugout to that center stage faster than any baseball player in the history of the game. And they don't mess, they don't mess around when they get there. They 1, 2, 3, 4. She was just 17. Enthusiasts. They loved the music. They loved each other. And it's a good game to be in, you know, when everybody's enjoying themselves.
And what made you think your life story would make this wonderful musical?
I had an idea that I would reminisce about a night in the Bag of Nails when I walked into the Bag of Nails and John Lennon was there and he bought me a drink and there was Marianne Faithfull and Mick Jagger and lots of other people. And I told my story to somebody and we said we should make a musical with all the songs that were in the charts, all those great songs that have got legs. Still 50 years later, people still know the words and sing along to the songs. And I said it could only work if we get Rick Elice to write it.
Oh, you thought of Rick immediately.
Because of Jersey Boys. I thought he knows how to connect a story to the songs. We've got the songs. Now somebody has to put the words to make the songs work. And he was the only one, I think, alive who knew how to do that. And then we said, and also, we need Jerry Mitchell. And we got Jerry Mitchell as well. So they were, and Hal Luftig put us all together, and and then it just got rolling. It took 4.5 years.
Wow. Is this the opening is here in America? Not how come here and not in England?
I think it's an American musical. The British invasion didn't happen in England, it happened in America. See, the musical is us talking about America. The Beatles come back to the Bag of Nails from America. They've just been on the Ed Sullivan Show and they tell that story. And we all English people go, oh, we want some of that America. It's about the British invading America.
But I bet it'll play in England, too. Are you thinking of bringing it to England? I mean, this could play everywhere because that music, everyone loves the music of the British invasion. I mean, the whole world does.
Well, I hope you're right, and my grandchildren hope you're right as well. I don't have any grandchildren yet, but one day then, if you're right and this plays everywhere, then I'll be filthy rich and people will hate me.
Well, but aren't rock and rollers usually filthy rich to begin with?
Not really. Most of us are just hardworking working class people.
I'm glad things don't change. I was just saying that Fallon, he's the capitalist. He's the evil capitalist in the story.
There's no... I think the only capitalist in the rock and roll world in those days would be Mick Jagger. And he's a fabulous capitalist. He knows how to make money and he knows how to entertain. And he's still a great singer and a great showman. And what about the songwriting as well? All the songs he wrote. So... capitalism is good for people like that.
You're no slouch, though. You know, you belong. You're up there too in the pan.
Yeah, but I'm still going on the way up, hopefully.
Well, congratulations, and I can't wait to see it.
Thank you. You'll enjoy it. It'll be great. I mean, that's just a run through. It's perfect.
Thank you, Sherman.
Erika, Olson.
Jonny Amy's.
And you are the love triangle. Everyone loves the love triangle. So, explain what part of the triangle you all are.
I play Trip, Pamela's boyfriend, and within the context of this love triangle, sort of the antagonist.
Oh, she starts out with you. She's with you first?
That's right, she's with me first.
Yes, so we're kind
That's
of...
right.
Yeah, I'm a golden girl. My name is Pamela. She's kind of a pop star of the 60s, and Trip and I are together, and we were kind of this
hot, heavy rock star, romance. Sure, yeah. And then in this little twerk.
So you're breaking them up. You're actually the bad guy in this.
Listen, I come and ruin everything. That's my job in this show. Now I play Peter. I play a young northern lad who comes down the coast of Britain to steal away the woman. Really, that's my story. Through love, of course. You know, no other motive. And music, absolutely, perfectly put. Wow, look at that.
Yeah. Although I would venture to say that Pamela does make her own decisions about this whole love triangle.
Hey,
You
heard her.
This is modern love, baby. It may be set in the 60s, but this is still 2019.
The 60s was when the revolution when females started to take charge began.
And, be your own bird. Fly.
But how did you end up breaking them up? Was it love at first sight or what? I mean, because they're a couple and then you come in and she why did you leave him for him?
It's, I mean, from Peter's point of view, he falls desperately in love, like hopelessly so, and is annoyingly persistent. You know what I mean? He doesn't give up, basically.
He persists.
He persists, exactly, and it's like in a very pure, honest way, because he just falls for the. This is a story about someone's first love, and you can't control that, and Peter certainly can't. And even though she's in the arms of this like ultra famous, young, sexy, hot Conor Ryan figure.
I'd be jealous if I were you.
He can't help himself, and he lays his cards out on the table, and you better come watch to find out what happens.
Yeah, these are teenagers in love, singing about love, dancing to love, and they're not necessarily the most rational and pragmatic of characters, but that's what makes you love them.
They're human.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that we would have any experience because we certainly weren't there, but this story is set in London in the 60s in a time when music and youth was dirty and messy and hungry, and our show, I think, really like pulses with that energy. At least that's our goal.
Yeah. We've got a great group, and we're all playing instruments, and we're making our own music on stage and off.
I do play the tambourine once.
Yeah, you rip it up.
Rocking out.
You're all rocking out, man.
Like Davy Jones.
There we go. Yeah.
He made an art of it, so why not?
Yeah.
It looks like I can't wait to see who ends up with who.
Oh yeah.
You'll have to come check it out.
Yeah, we'll hold you to that. We'll see you there.
There's a kind of hush all over the world. Tonight, all over the world, you can hear the sound of lovers in love. La 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 la, la 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 la,
So be sure and check out my very own British Invasion at Paper Mill Playhouse.